Hello, everyone. On this lovely Tuesday morning, at least it was lovely when I left the hotel, although the app on my mobile phone says it's going to be otherwise. Of course, we have to trust what a mobile phone tells us, because that's what we mostly do nowadays. We call that progress. And I would say that progress has taken place over the past decades and centuries in revolutions. We humans are a violent breed. We don't like to do things slowly or gradually, but we like to do things bam, bam, bam. So, in fact, the first industrial revolution, which has taken place, was precisely that of manufacturing and mechanical production, followed by that of science and mass production. And we recently experienced the third industrial revolution, which is that of digital revolution. We now have our mobile phones, tablets, laptops, and so on to play with, and to relay us the information and data that we rely upon nowadays. Now, we are ready to enter the fourth industrial revolution, which is basically that of cyber-physical era, which means that we are now blurring the lines between the physical and the virtual dimensions. And each and every one of these industrial revolutions have taken place because of necessity. And necessity is the mother of all inventions. Whether it was the need of efficiency, of power, or information, we always sought to create that which suits our needs. So what are the needs that we're trying to address nowadays and the advent of this fourth industrial revolution? First of all, we are now all connected via the internet. I'm sure that most of us here have Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. We are all connected with one another. But are we truly linked? Or is there a barrier between one person and another which prevents us from linking really and truly? Secondly, we transact with each other. And not just in monetary value, but also in other means as well. But do we actually fundamentally trust one another? When was the last time you sent money to someone and then waited for them to give you the item, without, of course, having a trusted third party such as PayPal in the equation? I tried it once. Unfortunately, I never got the item. So, of course, we need to trust other parties before we conduct a transaction directly with one another. We have started to trust mathematics. We have started to trust code because we are moving towards a fully digital era. We no longer trust the analog. We no longer trust the uncertain. We no longer trust human errors. So, of course, we are moving towards an age where we trust something which is certain, mathematics, where the outcome is just one and one alone. We have also learned that the power of many outshines the power of one. We transact via networks. We share our data with networks. The more time passes, the less we are relying on singular service providers, on singular entities. And we have seen that peer-to-peer networks have proven to be resilient, quick, and also secure. So keeping all of this in mind, what are some of, let's say, the qualities that we're trying to achieve? First of all, data. Although the word database is used quite, I would say, loosely, keep in mind that data is the new oil, which makes databases the new, let's say, supply of oil, the new oil fields. And of course, large corporates out there are looking into mining these very valuable oil fields. Now, imagine a database that is not maintained by a single entity, an oil field that is not just maintained by one party, but by a group of persons. Imagine also that your data is secured. We've read about the news of large companies such as Facebook who actually keep your data unencrypted. You trust them with your data, and yet they're storing it in a plain text file for everyone to see. How secure does that make you feel? Also, we talked about trust. We're trusting singular parties, and off they go with our data, selling it, perhaps even without our consent. Imagine if we had oversight over all that is being transacted, over all that is ours. Imagine a permanent, immutable storage of records, whereby you don't need to doubt the veracity of a certain record or transaction that has been made, because it can be proven that it was made and never altered. Last but not least, imagine not having to trust third parties to transact with other people. I want you to appreciate the irony of that. You have to trust someone else before you can trust someone else. Imagine if we remove that middle layer. And this, precisely, is where blockchain technology comes in. Blockchain is a word which I'm sure you've heard time and time again over the past 2 or 3 years. But what does blockchain technology actually represent for all of us here? First of all, a blockchain can be loosely described as a distributed database maintained by a network. And therefore, that means that whatever is put into a blockchain is there to stay. And you cannot change it unless the network agrees to add or modify certain data. And data that has been inputted cannot be altered after a certain period of time elapses. You also have the removal of intermediaries. You're trusting the code, you're trusting the network. You're not trusting centralized third parties. There's also the centralization of consensus, which means that there's no single entity responsible for taking decisions on your behalf, but the network takes the decision. This leads to lower costs, near impossible loss of data, since the ledger is distributed, transparency, security. Everything is there encrypted. Everything is there which can be overseen by those parties to whom the data belongs. What about some of the use cases of blockchain technology? Well, there are various. And with every day that goes by, we're learning about more and more new use cases of blockchain technology. But let me just mention a few. There's a public and land registry, which is basically ripe for blockchaining. I like to use the term that. There's also supply chains, whereby you can actually verify the origin of a product rather than, of course, risking dealing with a fake product. Payments and remittance. You can now actually make payments without the need to use trusted third parties. Insurance. Healthcare. Sensitive personal data which belongs to you should remain at your own control and not at the control of third parties. Voting. Transparent voting with the outcome clear for everyone to see and for everyone to judge independently. And there's also intellectual property. This is, of course, becoming a right more important in the digital age, and this can be perfectly secured through blockchain technology. Last, but definitely not least, there's charity. And although we underestimate the power of charity, it's actually a multi-billion-dollar industry. And unfortunately, most of the going-ons in charity are left unnoticed or unseen. And therefore, again, this is another industry which can be disrupted through blockchain technology. However, blockchain, I would say, is just one piece of the puzzle, one piece of the key to the fourth industrial revolution. There's also artificial intelligence. And we're not talking about artificial intelligence which can predict based on past data. We're talking about true self-developing artificial intelligence. And there's also the Internet of Things. If we are becoming connected, so are our devices, our mobile phones, our laptops, our fridges, our ovens, even our washing machines. Last time I read an article about a washing machine that can order detergent for you on your behalf. So I must say that's quite handful for those who actually forget to buy their detergents. All this holds the key to the fourth industrial revolution. And we're entering the fourth industrial revolution together, so we need to enter it with our eyes wide open. Blockchain technology should be seen as an enabler. I use the term disruptive here in this presentation, although I think the term enabler is more fitting to blockchain technology, because it enables us to be truly linked with one another, and this leads to automation and also the empowerment of the other two key areas, artificial intelligence and IoT. It vastly lowers costs. There are various studies showing that blockchain lowers the costs anywhere between 10 to 25% in various industries. And, of course, this leads to an increase in revenue. The technology is advancing at a very, very rapid pace. The first well-known iteration of blockchain technology came into the limelight in 2009, became widely known in 2013 onwards, but with every hour that passes, new uses of blockchain technology and new iterations of this technology are being developed, not just by hobbyists, but actually by giant corporations around the world. All eyes are on it. It's not just the private corporations that are testing blockchain technology and implementing it, but also governments across the world. Dubai, Malta, Estonia, the US, Sweden. All of them are looking into utilizing this technology, and all of them, I can assure you, have their sights set on it. So if they are looking into partaking into this fourth industrial revolution, will you miss out, or will you take the opportunity? Thank you.